So hey guys, and welcome back to another Axel72 video, and today I'm back with another interview and I'm here with Stephen Robinson. How are you, lad?
I'm good, mate. How are you? You all right?
I'm great, thank you. I very much appreciate you doing this, lad.
No, it's no problem at all. I appreciate you getting us on.
And if you're new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like it if you do indeed like the video, and we'll get straight into it. So, hopefully I've got all my stats right here. So, am I right in saying you're a 5-1 fighter who's a heavyweight and is 32?
31.
31, my bad, okay.
Box rec. No, box rec has it wrong.
Oh, right, okay. So, I mean, I was close.
Yeah.
Alright, so we'll get started with the question which I always like to start off with, and that is, who inspired you to get into boxing?
No one or nothing. It was an injury.
Oh, right.
I was a professional footballer out in Hong Kong, and I snapped the ligaments in my ankle. I had three tendons took from my hamstring in my ankle. I got told I'll never play football again. So I went up to 137 kilo and walked down to the local gym and I said, listen, I want to lose some weight. What's the best? Because I went from from the age of 9 playing at a high level of football,
Mm-hmm.
constantly training and, to doing nothing for 9 months. So the weight just come on and walked into a gym and said, What's the best for weight loss?" And he says, "Oh, some like boxer size or some sort of boxing class." So at the time, I had been a bit of a naughty person,
Right.
and was on tag,
Okay.
and couldn't do the boxing class at 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
So I joined the boxing fitness type
Mm-hmm.
class. And I went and bought some 20 quid gloves from Sports Direct and just, the basic,
Yeah.
the most basic of gear and started doing it. And then he put on a body sparring class on a Tuesday night
Mm-hmm.
at 6:30,
Mm-hmm.
which was only an hour. One, it was ideal for us. I could make it. So started going down to this body sparring class, and there was a guy who they had at the time who was an ABA finalist, Curtis, and him down a few times. And Mark was very impressed, the coach, and said, "Would you be interested in coming along?" And I thought, I don't really want to. I was 24 at the time. I thought, "I'm 24. I'm too old to get into boxing." And he said, "Why no? Just come, give it a try." And I went in the. I think this was the February. Had my first fight in the June. Stopped the kid in the second round,
Oh,
and
wow.
after that, I had 42 fights within the space of 3 and a bit years before turning pro after the ABA finals. So
Mm-hmm.
it went quick. It went well, and that's that I've always had the ambition, the drive to train hard with the football. So once I put something into something, it's either all or nothing, and that was me mentality to go and give it a try.
Definitely. I mean, it's a very interesting story of the fact of like you had such a bad injury, and a lot of people could have let that just really affect them and not wanted to do anything else with the rest of their career. But I like the way that you stuck to it, and even though you couldn't carry on playing football, you went to carry on with something else, and you found love somewhere else.
Yeah, definitely,
Wait,
definitely.
yeah. So it's a great story. So obviously you spoke about how many amateur fights you had and how your first one went. So I was just kind of wondering when or why did you turn pro when you did?
So I was in the ABA final against GB number 2 seed, who's just went on to win the Commonwealth Gold,
All
and
right.
fair play to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I fought delicious, and it was an absolute robbery of a decision. And after the back of that, I lost love for boxing
Mm-hmm.
in it all. I lost love for everything. And Frank Warren and Pat Barrett, what at the finals.
Mm-hmm.
And Pat Barrett and Mark, my manager, had been talking back and forwards between each other. Little did I know I had thrown away, the love of boxing. I'd give away my gloves. I says I'll never box again after the back of that decision. And then I got a phone call about 2 months later saying we're turning you pro. You're
All
signing
right.
with Black Flash,
Mhm.
um, and that was June 2018.
Mhm.
And then I ended up not signing with Black Flash. I ended up signing with MTK.
Mhm.
I had my first fight in September. I had my second fight in December. I had my third fight in March, the first, and
All
then
right.
COVID come along.
Mm.
Um, and obviously it was just a massive setback to everybody involved in sports and in
Definitely.
life and work
Mm.
and every aspect of life just mentally and physically was awful for
Mhm.
people. And I sort of I'd sort of give up.
Mhm.
At the time I was 29. I thought, I can't
Yeah.
I can't be like I can't be asked to dedicate myself in the sport. I just want to go and find a job, get a mortgage, and be independent. And that's when Sky come along and
Mhm.
sort of changed my aspect on life and give us that opportunity that I was waiting for, and obviously we had today.
Great. So obviously you've then gone on to have more fights, and unfortunately you did end up suffering a defeat. But how obviously you then went on to get a win after that. But how tough is it to bounce back after a defeat?
Do you know what? I was never asked about the zero. Like
Mhm.
everything I've done, I've overachieved and overexceeded within the sport. Like
Right.
I got into boxing to lose weight. I got into
Mhm.
boxing. Listen, as I said to you before, I was on tag. I
Mhm.
walked down to a gym to lose some weight because I'm not. Every boxer's got a story. Every boxer's got a cliche story. Or if it wasn't boxing, I'd be in prison. If it wasn't, but I'm not about that story. Like I was
Yeah.
just unfortunate. I was at the wrong place at the wrong time, and I'm not. I'm not going to get into the way I got brought up. My mum, my dad, my family. If boxing wasn't this, I'd have nothing because
Mhm.
football was my escape. Football took
Yeah.
me away from everything, and as I say, I put one passion from football, be finding out that I couldn't play, and I put my passion into boxing.
Mhm.
And I do everything I do just for the. I was just the average fat kid with glasses in school. Like I was told, you'll never play for Newcastle. You'll never do
Mhm.
this. I was at Leeds Academy, and I got dropped at 14 for being too chubby,
Oh
having too
wow.
much puppy fat. And then I ended up at Doncaster Rovers, and up until I was 16. And then when I was 20, I moved to America, and
Mhm.
everything I done in football, I was always told I'll never do this. I got diagnosed with ADHD at 12.
Oh
I
wow.
was kicked out of school. I was put into a naughty boys. I was told, you'll never get GCSEs. You'll never do this. You'll never do
Mhm.
that. So my life, I've always been told I'll never do that. I'll never do this. And everything I do is just for the average kid on the street.
Mhm.
That average kid who doesn't believe himself, that kid who suffers with ADHD, that kid who suffers with anxiety, suffers with any type of autism, who doesn't want to associate with other people, doesn't want to, get
Mm.
out of the comfort zone. I just want to do it for everybody who has a comfort zone, who doesn't want to get out of second gear and prove to them that life's what you make of it.
Mhm.
Life is what you make of it. And if you sit back and you're happy just to cruise through life and go to work, come home, sit down, go and just live in Groundhog Day, then that's up to you. But
Mm.
I just wanted to prove to myself and to everybody around us that I can do something. And that loss, I, the issue was I never built myself up. I was
Yeah.
never calling people out. I was never saying, I'm going to be the next big thing, blah blah blah. People done that for me.
Mhm.
Podcast done that for me. Sky done that for us, and everybody put me on this pedestal. But
Mhm.
the, there's something that went on behind closed doors before that loss. That I'll never discredit Shane Gill for coming because he didn't know all he had to do was come and get the win. And
Mhm.
we're seeing it with Hergovic the other night.
Yeah.
there was a lot going on behind closed doors that people don't know about with Hergovic. I mean, Zhang beat Hergovic.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah,
that was a disgusting decision. But again,
mm.
that's got nothing to do with Hergovic.
Definitely. Yeah.
He's not there telling the judges, give me the decision.
Mm-hmm.
People are criticising Hergovic. It's got nothing to do with Hergovic,
Yeah,
who
definitely.
them three judges giving the decision. And what people don't realise boxing is so much more mental than
Mm.
physical.
Mm-hmm.
You go through camps, you're physically exhausted, you're depleted of food, regardless whether you're heavyweight, you still have to diet, you still have to train as hard, you sacrifice so much. So
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to fight night, if you haven't got this switched on,
Mm-hmm.
your game plan just goes out the window.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, there was things on that I'll never speak about because
Mm-hmm.
I'll never discredit Shane.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of things went on behind closed doors, and there was
Mm-hmm.
I should have pulled out the fight a week before,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't. I didn't. I tried to use what had happened as ammo, as fuel, and unfortunately, it didn't come off.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't work that way, and it's a learning curve for me because I know to never go in the ring with that mindset again. And
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not physically and mentally prepared for the fight, then I'll pull myself out. But as I say, I was never asked about the loss. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't. I wasn't depressed. I wasn't. Listen, I got stick on social media. I got messages. I got this. I got that. But these same people are these kids who have never ever stepped in the ring,
Yeah,
don't know what
definitely.
it's
Yeah.
like. I'm sure Anthony's getting it now.
Mm.
You know, two-time world champion and Olympic gold medalist
Mm.
who again was in prison 15 years ago, and what he's done for British boxing and what
It's
he's done
crazy. Yeah.
for boxing in general and for kids is just. Everybody looks past that and
Mm.
just looks at that
Yeah.
loss and
Yeah.
criticises him on his performance. But that's the issue we're in
Mm-hmm.
at the minute. Axel, you've got too many people sitting on social media happy to put people down, and when they live, they're the ones who live in an ordinary, boring life, and they're the ones who are mentally not right in the head, that they
Yeah.
have to put other people down to make themselves feel better. And it's unfortunate when I get a horrible message, when I get a message telling them, you're shit, I hope you die, blah, blah.
Mm.
I want to message them and say, mate, are you okay?
Yeah.
Because you're the one that's suffering up there, not
Mm.
me. You're trying to put me down to make yourself feel better. I don't bite to these people, but unfortunately, as I say, you've got people quitting all sorts of
Yes.
ways.
It's
You've
terrible.
got Jesse off Little Mix, who's went and left with Little Mix because of it. You've got these girls off Love Island and
Mm.
these males off Love Island taking their own lives and stuff because they
Mm.
just can't handle it. And unfortunately, people don't care about that or think about that. And as I say, the loss for me, man, I was never asked about it.
Yeah.
Of course, it hurt.
Mm.
Of course, it hurt, and should I have lost? But what people don't realise is, like, people are going, he got beat off a journeyman. The kid had one fight.
Mm.
Well, how can somebody? Previous to that, he was unlicensed and bare knuckle champion.
Oh
But
right.
people don't care about that. People are calling him a journeyman. He
Mm.
had one fight and lost on a close decision against Ignatius. How
Mm.
how how does that make him a journeyman? Should
Yeah.
I have won? Yeah, of course. Granted, I should have won. I get that, but that's irrelevant.
Mm.
Last week's news is this week's chip shop rapper. I
Yeah.
don't give a fuck about what went on then. It's about now, and it's about the present, and it's about redeeming myself and building myself back up.
Yeah. Well, a very, very inspirational like story from yourself, just as a person, of where you've got to, and with the messages you're trying to spread are all totally what I agree with. It's all kind of gone a bit mad with social media and everything like that, and I've talked to a few boxers about it, about how it's just not needed, and it's not necessary. And with the defeat, like, I can see that it didn't affect you, and obviously it didn't, because of the fact of you went on to then win your next fight. So I was just kind of gonna move on to ask about that next fight, and how tough was it, and how much of a relief was it to win that next fight?
Again, it was as if someone was just trying to take the piss out of us. Like, the next fight, I was told you fight the 6 rounder.
Mm-hmm.
I've given a name, and we worked on that
Mm-hmm.
for for 6 weeks with spar. When you fight the six, you'll spar eight.
Mm-hmm.
So you start slower because you're building your way up, and then the next 4 rounds, your rounds four, five, six, seven, and eight are the tough rounds where you go, you give it your all. And
Mm-hmm.
on the day of on the morning of the fight, I get a phone call off my manager saying, "Listen, Stephen, I need to speak to you. You're only fighting a 4 round, and it's against Phil Williams, who I'd previously already fought." And I was like, "You're taking the piss. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not fighting the 4 round. That'll throw everything out the window. You know, a 4 rounder is a slug. It's like amateur
Yeah,
boxing.
it's not
You've
great.
got, you lose 1 round, your back's
Mm-hmm.
against the wall." And I and again, it was against Phil Williams, who's just a spoiler. And I knew I had to impress.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I needed to impress and get that win and get that winning style. And I knew with Phil Williams. And I spoke to Phil on the morning of the fight, and I says, "Phil, listen, it's a 6 rounder. Like, why we're not fighting a six?" And he went, "And fair play to Phil. He says, listen, I'm a businessman, mate. If I fight you over six, I'm probably going to get stopped,
Mm-hmm.
and then I can't fight in 2 weeks' time." He went,
Yeah.
"And that's no good for me."
Mm-hmm.
And fair play to him. He's got kids, he's got a wife, and he's got a roof to put over his head, and he needs to, look after himself. And he took the fight last minute. So, as I say, I won't criticise Phil for making that decision, but that decision got made, and I went into the fight with a sort of depleted attitude of,
Mm-hmm.
what this isn't this, and again started a little bit slower than I probably could have, but we won comfortably. We won. I think it was 30, 39,
Mm-hmm.
39, 36. So we won three of the rounds. And it was a comfortable fight. It was, but again, as I say, it wasn't the opponent that I want. But unfortunately, again, similar to what Hergovich's situation is, and what people don't realise is we don't get to pick the
Yeah,
opponents.
yeah.
It's got nothing to do with us. It's to do with Sky and my management team, where the opponent comes from, and the British Boxing Board, whether or not they accept that opponent, accept the fight, accept the round. So there's a lot more goes on behind closed doors than what people think about. And people go, "Oh, you should fight this person, you should fight that person," and they don't realise that there's different governing bodies, there's different
Yeah,
paths, there's
yeah.
different belts. So when people are saying, "Oh, he needs to fight Solomon, he needs to fight Johnny Fisher, he needs to fight this person," unfortunately, Matchroom and Sky
Yeah.
aren't going to. It's not as easy as what people think. And as I say, I'm not the type to call people out, and because I know that it's not as easy. I can sit on Twitter and start telling people
Yeah.
I'm going to punch his head all over. But is that fight ever going to get made? Probably not. The only person really on my direct path at the minute now is Nick Campbell, because we're both with Sky. He's got that zero. He's just won the Scottish title. He's a good fighter, and that's probably a fight that could get easily made now. But this isn't That's not me calling Nick out. And as I say, I think everybody what they do by even stepping through that ring and going through with camp is, I take my hat off to them, and they're an inspiration in their own mind to other people to say, what I want to be like him, whether it be their kids or their nephews or kids from the area they brought up with. So, but as I say, that someone like him is the only person at the minute who's on the same sort of path as I am at around about the same time of our careers. We're similar ages. We're at similar parts of our career. So someone like him would be a good step and a good pedigree to see where I can go next.
So that is kind of answer my next question of like who you or slash when you'll be wanting to fight next. So that's fair enough. I won't keep you for too much longer because I know you've got places to be. And
Oh, that's all right. It's all right.
so I've only got about three more questions. So obviously you're 32 now, but as you can see in somebody like Zhang, like you can be fighting till the older ages. So I was kind of asking, What do you think you will have achieved in your boxing career in like 5 years' time?
That. So I was 31 in April.
Hmm.
So I look at that and I think I was ready. As I say, I was ready to give it all up before Sky coming in. And you look at the likes of Povetkin, 40-year-old, who's just
Yeah,
went to
yeah,
beat Dillian White. And granted, Dillian got the rematch and got the win. And you look at the likes of Joe Joyce, you look at the likes of Louis Ortiz, and then you look at where people are at 35,
mm.
36. That's when they're coming into, Pulev has
Yeah,
got another big
Chisora.
fight, and,
Yeah,
and I just think, you and then you've got like the likes of Dillian White 35, Chisora 37, and all the big names are sort of 35, 36,
yeah, about that.
37,
Yeah,
and I think, as I say, I got into boxing late. Have I been, so fortunately, I haven't got the bad back. I haven't got the broken hands that I need to get injured and take 6 months out. I haven't got these niggly little injuries. I'm
mm.
not punch drunk. I can hold a conversation,
Mm.
and and I think I'm in a fortunate position where these niggly little injuries and stuff aren't going to come till maybe 4 or 5 years
Yeah,
time, and then that's where I can take a look back and think, do I really need to be doing this to myself? But by that time, I want to be high enough to have be settled in life, got 2 or 3 houses, got a dream, got a goal, got a mission. Now I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't believe in myself, and as I say,
mm.
I was never bothered about that loss. That loss is gone. That loss is out of the window, and it's now about working towards a future. So if I can get a fight in October, mid-October time, I'm just waiting on Huey Fury confirming when he's coming back, because
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's the card I'm on.
Hmm.
So if I can get on at mid-October, and then obviously I think Sky are taking a break from boxing for the World Cup through
Oh
November and
right.
December.
Okay.
That's what the talks are, because
That'll be a
of
bit of a shame.
obvious reasons. But we can see. So if I can get 2 more by the end of the year, fantastic. If I
Mm.
can get one in October, then if Sky do carry on and get one in December, great. And look to, as I say, at the end of the year or the start of next year, fighting somebody, even if it's for some sort of international title. Because if it's going to be Nick Campbell, he's just won the Scottish title. He's wanting to
Mm.
build himself up. So I'm happy to be the away fighter on that card, and him choose the gloves and what have you. So
Hmm.
it, get one more out, possibly an 8 rounder, and then by the end of the year, the start of next year, look at pushing for things, and seeing where we can go. We've got Wardley and
That'll be a good
Nathan
fight.
Gorman
Yeah, it's two good
fighting for the
fights.
British, which obviously opens the English. I think
Oh
in
right.
the grapevine, I've heard Solomon's mandatory for that,
Hmm.
so that leaves the English with match room.
Hmm.
Unless Solomon gets beat off somebody like a Wasserman fighter, which will open doors
Possibly. Yeah.
for Sky to work. So again, it's not up to me.
Yeah.
It's up to me. Management team. It's up to Sky. It's up to Boxer to put me in the direction of where they want me to go, and I can sit and say I want to fight for an English title, but by the end of by 6 months. But if Solomon gets that win and he's with Matchroom, and it stays on their side, then that's not going to happen. The British title, I'm sure there's people like Fraser Clark and stuff
Mm.
want to fight for that. So if Nathan beats Fabio, and that'll open doors with the Sky fighters to work with Wasserman, and again that'll open doors in a year's time. Could I be fighting Fraser for the British title?
That'll
Who
be a
who
good
knows?
fight.
Who knows? As I say, everybody's got a path for. I think everybody in life's got a path. So I just take each day as it comes, and let destiny put me on the right path, and let Sky and Mark work on where I need to be.
Great. So, I mean, just from what you've been saying alone, you do seem like a very you're just trying to inspire the young generation. You said you seem like you've been through things and you've come out the other side a better person. And you want to inspire the next generation, and you also seem like you've just very got a good mindset in the fact of you're just kind of you are happy to go along with it, but you also know what you want at the same time, which is also great. So that's kind of, I've got two more questions, but that's kind of all the boxing ones done.
Yeah,
So obviously on this channel we don't just talk about boxing, we talk about sport as well, and so you've also got a Newcastle shirt on, which I see, and I was just kind of wondering what were you thinking about Newcastle this season? They've started off quite well, and how do you think they'll do?
doing really well. Yeah, got a season ticket, massive Newcastle fan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, we're doing really well, and I think the high around the club and the high with the fans and the high with the players is massive at the minute. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's a couple of transfer speculations about Gomes and what have you, and I don't
No.
see it happening. I don't see Gomes wanting to leave. The passion he's got when you see him playing, and you know, we've found Joe Linton and Willock's playing fantastic at the minute, and I think we need a couple more signings. I think we need a goal scorer in case Callum Wilson gets injured,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously we've seen what happened last year with him, and I don't think Wood's good enough
No.
to get with 20, 25 goals within the season. But you know, if we can bring in somebody like Madison, you know, a false number nine, just behind the centre forward and playing behind Wilson, then I can see. Listen, I'm not fickle on naive and thinking that we're going to be fighting for Champions League this year. If we can finish top table this year and then fight for the Europa Cup next year, and then we'll see where we go. I like the fact that they're not coming in and just hiring
Yeah, yeah.
300 million at players that aren't proven, and they're taking the time to build up. So, as I say, the passion and the atmosphere around the club and is unbelievable at the minute. You can see it on the pitch with the players. Like yesterday, they never stopped. And then it was 90 minutes. The likes of Almiron and Trippier and stuff, and Maximum, they just never stopped running. And are they good enough to be fighting? Would they make the top two, three teams? No, they wouldn't. But at the minute, for us, they're all we need, and the passion's there, and that's why Leicester won the. You know,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
look at the players Leicester had when they won the league,
It
and
wasn't
where they are
crazy.
now. The likes of Danny Simpson and stuff
Mm.
that couldn't even make our team, and Robert Huth that couldn't make Stokes' team, and you know, and but they had the passion, they had the belief, they had the
Mm-hmm.
drive, because people don't realise what winning 4 or 5 games can do for you mentally. And when you've got that ambition and passion and drive, and the right manager to spur you on, and the right people around you, and 52,000 people screaming week in, week out, then you just don't know what can happen. It's a funny old game.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so I'll leave with this final question, which I always like to ask, and you've got a little bit of a platform here. I was wondering if you'd like to shout anything out.
No, we just wanna thank you, and thank everybody who gives us the opportunity to get onto the channels, and pushes me on, and like me, you know, yourself and other channels are just working on building themselves up on what they want to do, and they have ambition, you just have drive, and I can only thank you for that, because without you guys, we'd be, without social media and without the positives that social media has, because it has so many negatives,
Mm.
but without the people like yourselves, then we're in stalemate of where we'll go next. So it's just a big thank you to my sponsors, and you guys who lift me up and keep me going, because as I say, it's the fans and the passion, as I was saying before, from others, are the things that push us on, and the belief of other people make us believe in ourselves. So just as I say, thank you to everybody from the bottom, and and who's on the journey with us, and who's keeping the fire burning.
Well, thank you very much for the kind words. I very much appreciate them.
No, no, thank you, Axel. I appreciate it.
And thank you for coming on, of course. Like, yeah, I definitely can see just from your mindset alone, you will go far in this sport. And I wish you the rest of best of luck with the rest of your career. And maybe in a few years, if you're fighting for them British belts, then we can come back and we can do a return interview.
No problem. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Alright, so if you're new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like video if you do need like video, and thanks for watching.